Oops, recording. Okay. Um, since you're using Johnson County Community College, they actually pay for hosting, or they have a hosting environment they are allowing us all to use to build WordPress websites. But if you want to build outside of class, because I think a couple weeks after this class is over, they will remove the WordPress websites and your access to cPanel. So just be aware that everything that we build in this class, you want to get a backup of the files, the database, whatever you do, just so that you can have it for your portfolio um, down the line. And you can move it to a locally hosted environment, which is, I think it's local WP or WP local. And I always forget which way it goes. Let's see. Okay, it's local WP. So it's local WP. You can download this onto your computer and it will work the same way as the stuff we're going to do with cPanel. So it gives you the availability to have both. Okay. So that's kind of nice. And then you can download it and then you can always have your websites that you build. And I will show you guys how to back up your websites so that you will have those in the future. Okay. Do you have any questions from last week? And did you get your website launched okay? I know I, I went through a couple of them and had to say, hey, please launch this website because I can't see it from the WordPress.com. And that is the only thing I'm going to be doing with that WordPress.com is giving you the grade for the stuff that we did last week. And then after that, we really won't be touching WordPress.com again. So for this, we'll be going to cPanel. And so you will sign on to your, my username was 172. Obviously, this is WordPress class web 172. The web CS it.net and then colon the 2083. It will take you to the username and password. And I gave you the usernames and passwords. If you feel like you want to change your password, okay, for safety with cPanel, I would ask you to let me know what password is that you're changing it to. Because if you change it and then you forget what the password is, they're going to have to delete the cPanel and rebuild it. And then that would be just a huge mess. So I tell people just to keep it. I think cutting and pasting works pretty good for your passwords. So I think that's the best way to go about that. So once you're here, you will actually have a menu over on the left here that will allow you to go to a tool set. It'll let you go to some social media if you're doing social media parts of it. It does have the WordPress management if you have more than one WordPress website out there. And you do, because you have cPanel, you have the access to create more than a single WordPress website. It does give you the site quality monitor and then the actual manager. And this is the soft Oculus that I like to use to build my first WordPress website. So when we come here, I like to come in here and use the left menu and use the soft Oculus and then just click on that. And from here, it gives you the availability to, it shows me that I already have a website that I can go log into one that's already there, but it should give you the option to build another website. And that's what I am going to do here for some reason. Trying to look at this. My lighting is kind of really crazy. I'm going to install a fresh copy of WordPress, and that is actually coming from WordPress.org. So they have a copy of the actual core files for WordPress and that's how it does the install. So it's not something where you have to do a whole lot of setup on the back end here. It will do it for you. So if you click on install, um, it will come and allow you to name it. And I recommend you name it something other than your website name here, or at least give it a subdomain. So this is the domain. This is the directory that it's going to go into. Um, I tend to like to maybe change that directory if I'm making another website. So if I made one for 2025, maybe I would want to change this one to 2026. But WP is fine for you guys, and you guys can actually keep this as your WordPress name. This will be the actual website name if you want to keep it like that. I like to give it a subdomain name too. If I drop this down, I think I can drop these down. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to my previous one. But then you have the where you can actually name the blog where I did the puppies 2026 when we did it on WordPress.com. And I can name this puppies uh, or fostering puppies. Actually, I think that's what I named it on Monday or last week. So I'll do fostering puppies. And then uh, the dog don't chop was my tagline. And then the username and password, I recommend that you use your username that you have on your have the username that you have for signing on to cPanel, because that will be pretty easy. And then the password, we can make something fairly simple, but also something that nobody else will figure out. So just as long as whatever you make the username and whatever you make the password, you are going to remember that. That's just the biggest part there. So for me, I'm going to just make mine and don't keep it as admin, and try not to have it something that people are going to know what it is. It's like half of the key to get onto your website. And this is where we want to keep these safe from anybody that might try to come and access these websites. Um, I am going to make this one user. So this is going to be kind of easy because this is, you guys know, this is my email address for Johnson County. So that's going to be pretty easy. The password definitely should be something you can hide. I mean, I actually hide it, but make the password something you'll remember. Um, and make it longer than 8 characters, and it should have numbers. It should have upper and lowercase letters, and it should also have a character of some kind. So a question mark, an exclamation mark, or something like that. So it just why do you put in my character? Okay, so I'm just gonna show mine real quick, just make sure I got what I want, and I do. So basically, create your password, make it fairly long. Um, the admin, this is where I would recommend you put in your school email address, because, but yeah, this may or may not go to your school email address. So I'm just going to do my school email address. This is the admin, or this is the person that is going to be over the whole website. Okay, so the admin, I didn't want that to happen. So invalid. Okay, good. I'm glad it's okay. I can go over to my cPanel again. I can go back to my tools like my manager, and I can actually delete that one because I think I want to delete it because that's not what I wanted. Puppies was in there. So I'm going to go ahead. Um, it doesn't look like it installed that other one. I tried to start it and then it didn't finish it. So I'm going to go ahead and try to install a fresh copy. See if this goes again. And I'm going to do folder puppies 26, just so that grabs that. I'm going to put in my username, the password again. Hide the rest of it. I think I can always go back to my site name and make those different later. Um, all these plugins, I'm going to uncheck all these plugins real quick because I do not want these plugins on the website yet. The plugins are extra code and I do not want to have that. Maybe the login attempts would be the only one that I will allow to stay on there. Hanging. Can just do restream puppy scan. Let's see. Adopt, don't shop. I can do that later. The rest of it all looks good. The advanced options I'm not going to do, and I'm just going to go ahead and install. And all of these are my password keepers, but I'm not going to save these right now. And so as it's doing, this is called the 5-minute install. It can take up to 5 minutes, but any more, it usually goes pretty quickly. Hopefully this worked for you, Jacob. So that it's nothing. Okay, so you want to have your install, and then this allows you to get to the front of the website and the back of the website here. So this allows you, when it's done, it allows you to get to the front of the website and the back of the website. So I'm going to go ahead and get to the front of the website by hitting my control key, or if you're on a Mac, you can hit your command key and it'll open up another tab. And then this allows you to get to your admin, which is your backend, and this uses your username and password that you have set up in the WordPress manager and actually takes you to the dashboard. So I have the availability to see the front of the website, and this is what the front of my website looks like right now. And then this will take me to the dashboard, and this takes me to the back of the website with the menu similar to what we had on WordPress.com, but different because it's not a pay to play. This is where you've already bought your hosting and you don't need to keep saying whether you want this plan or that plan. You've already bought a hosting environment and you've already got a plan in place. Okay. And so that is fairly important to just kind of know you've already got a plan in place. I'm going to stop right here because this is where I was going through the life cycle of a website and what part of your responsibility will be for the second week will be to um, establish what your plan or what your website, your final website will be, and give me an idea of what that final website will be. You can use this website that you built here, or you can create another website like I did on the back end, and it will give you a sub menu that you can actually use for the website, where mine is Puppies 2026. Yours might be something else, where it actually uses this URL and then it uses this folder, and that determines what the URL of the website's going to be. Okay. I am going to quickly look at the assignments and have you look at the assignments and look at the planning assignment. So there's the design and planning assignment. And what this is what I want you to do is you will create a Word document or a PDF or a PowerPoint, whatever you feel comfortable using. And you're going to give that to me in Canvas, and you're going to give me a topic of what your website for your final is going to be. And that can be something personal, it can be a hobby, it can be a business, it could even be something maybe you might be thinking you're going to be doing for somebody else. And you're going to give me a site map, which is going to tell me what pages you're going to create. So the site map could be like the home, about, services. For me, it would be volunteers. It could be the fostering volunteers. It could be just um, under the services. It could be volunteers. It could be um, the people that work there. It could be the actual volunteers that are fostering. So there's a lot of pages I could build out with mine if I was doing my fostering puppies. Then from there, you're going to also have a blog page. So mine pretty much stays puppy news most of the time, and that just makes it really easy. And then I'm going to go in and bring this assignment over here so we can talk about it, why it's on the screen too. So you'll do the sitemap and then at least 4 pages. Give me the names and then what you're going to name your blog post page. From there, you're going to either with paper or pencil, or you can use Azure or Figma, or you can draw with pencil and paper, but please use a ruler and kind of lay out what the different pages are going to look like, or at least what you hope they're going to look like. And I would like you to take your home page, because I think most of you will build a static home page, and lay out what it's going to look like on the phone first. Okay. And most phones are single column. Sometimes you will have maybe a small image and a small amount of text next to it. You have a little card there that actually talks about something. That's fine. If you want to do that on the phone, just make sure it's going to look good. You don't want to have like a huge image and like a single line of alphabet going down the page. Okay. You want to be sure that you can do what you are laying out. Okay. And that's first do the mobile, then do a tablet view, and then do a desktop view. And I would like to have it change from the phone to the tablet and from the tablet to the desktop. I do not want you to have just one view for the phone and carry it across all 3 viewports. I would like to see multiple columns being shown as you get to the different viewports. Okay, so that just shows me that you are going to take a few minutes. Then you can create a logo if you want. I don't really care if you do create a logo. That is up to you. A logo can just be a word logo. So if you have the name of your hobby, your business, or just something personal, it could be just the text logo, and you could use a specific font to make it special. So basically what I want you also to do is give me at least 5 colors and where you're going to use them. Are you going to use them in the text? Are they going to be the background? Are they going to be, what are they going to be? Where are you going to use the colors? Okay. Are they going to be the rollovers like the hover colors? So that I would like to have in swatches. So you'll give me little tiny swatches of the color and you'll give me the hexadecimal or the RGB. Okay. RGB A. Sometimes people like to have the RGBAs on there. And at least, I mean, at max 5 colors. And black and white can be counted as one of your colors, but a lot of times people don't do that. Then fonts, go look at the Google fonts. There's tons of Google fonts out there. And tell me if you're going to use Google fonts. Um, and then I think there is subtle, subtle patterns, I think is out there, which is available for you guys to use as backgrounds. Oh yeah, here it is, subtle patterns. And so this gives you a small swatch of a pattern that you could use as a background. But again, if you're going to use a background, make sure that background is going to uplift your content and make it feel more like what you want. But it is available for you guys to use. And I will put this website on that assignment too design page for you guys so that you have that available too. Okay, then we'll go back to what we're doing in class today. So let me get this out of the way. So we have created our, so we've created our website. You should have the front end and the back end of your website. Can I get a thumbs up? It looks like we've got a couple people here. Yeah. Okay, we got a couple people. You guys both have the websites built on your cPanel. First thing we're going to do is a lot of times people think, oh, I got a WordPress website. I'm just going to start building the website. Well, I always say stop. Okay. You can't just start building the website. You have to go through the settings. And settings are really important for a WordPress website because if you don't set up the settings, a lot of times things will be off, like the day and time will be off. If you notice that with our WordPress.com, our days and times were off. Okay. And that's because we didn't go through the settings. So all the way down on your menu bar on the left, there is this settings option. And look at all those fun settings. We've got general, writing, reading, discussions, media, permalinks, and privacy. Okay, all of those are important that we look at each of those and make some changes. So that is the first thing you should do before you start building a WordPress website. Because if you don't, you're going to have some things that are a little off, and you don't want that to be something you have to go back and fix on posts and pages. You don't want to have to fix dates and times on posts and pages. You want them to be the correct date and time. So we're going to go into settings, and the first setting it's going to take us to is the general setting. Okay, so this gives us the availability to change the site title, and that is what's displaying up here in the top half left corner. So here's our site title. So if you make a change here, it will take effect over here. It will also take effect on the front of your website. Your tagline, if the tagline displays with the header of the website, this will also change immediately as soon as you save the changes. The site icon, this is really kind of nice because this gives you the size of what it should be in pixels, 512 by 512. So it should be a square icon, and that icon will change what is seen right here in the, it's called the favicon that sits up in the tab in your browser. So this little global icon right here, this WordPress icon, I think that is for HostGator. That icon will change to whatever you guys set up to be this 512 by 512. I got a little dog I'm going to be putting in there, so I'll be able to show you guys that later. This is if you needed to change it to be SSL, up to be SSL, so HTTPS instead of HTTP. This S just tells me this has an SSL certificate associated with the URL. So the people at Johnson County that created all of our cPanels, they already established our domains to already have the SSL certificate associated with it. So the secure socket certificate. So that's really important. If you want to change the admin email, so let's say you're going to change it from Johnson County. Let's say you guys are graduating and you want to change it away from Johnson County and you want to put it to your personal email. This is where you would change it. Okay. So it would send an email to this Johnson County email and confirm it's okay to change it. If you leave Johnson County and forget to change this, I will show you. Hopefully we'll get a chance to do that. Go to the database and I'll show you how you can change it without having access to your Johnson County email. Are you going to let people register on the website? If you check this, that anybody can register on their website, you want to make sure that the users that register on the website are the lowest version of website users that there are, and that's the subscriber. So the subscriber is the lowest version. Okay. These are all the languages that WordPress can go through. I would stay with English because I really don't know any other languages and I won't be able to help you if you switch it to another language. So that is something I recommend you stay with. But it does have the availability to switch from languages. There are plugins that you can have it where it would switch languages. If you are going to create a website that you do want to have people that are bilingual, look at your website. Okay. So if they speak Spanish more than they speak English and you want them to be able to read Spanish on your website, there are plugins that allow you to do that. Okay. That being said, the time zone. This is where the time zone is wrong. We're on a universal time code of -6, but we're also close to Chicago. So if we put in Chicago, us and Chicago have the same time zone. So that is what I recommend most people do. But if you want to put in -6, we should be exactly the same. So it will change it to the appropriate date and time. The time is where we were off because it was UTC 0. Okay. And that's where if you started creating posts and pages, it would think it was at a time before the website was even built. Okay. And that's something to be very aware of. So then the time will change and you can actually see that this time frame is 11:49. And that's not when we really are right now. We're only at 7. So that is way off for us, but it will change once we save it. The start date, you can have your start date on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I know some restaurants are closed on Mondays, so they always start their website on Tuesday. Okay, so it just has a Tuesday start date, but you guys can pick whichever date you want. The biggest thing I will be looking for when I grade this is that you changed it to the Chicago time frame. And once you changed it and I go back and look at it, we will see that we are at the correct time frame here. Okay. Right date, right time. Right date, right time. Okay. Anybody have questions about the general settings? And why is it important to do the general settings? Biggest thing is this is the main admin. So this is the person that gets all of the information about things that are happening with the website. So this is the person that needs to be available, or this has to be an email that somebody's monitoring. The other big thing is the time zone. And then if you want to change the time formats, you can do that. If you are military time, you might want to change that. Or if you're doing a European website and they do day, month, year, might want to change that too. Okay. Any questions before I go on? Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to writing. Writing is what we talk about when you come to a WordPress website and you need to make modifications to how posts are being written, okay, or where posts will be placed. That being said, we want to make a change to this uncategorized here, okay? But if we drop that down, there's nothing else to pick, correct? We're all sitting there with uncategorized. Have any of you ever searched for uncategorized when you go to Google or Yahoo or whatever browser you're looking at to search for something? You've never, ever in your life searched for uncategorized, right? If you have, let me know because I want to know why. What were you looking for? Because I can't imagine anybody ever searching for uncategorized. So we're going to go to the post real quick and we're going to make some categories. Categories are the first SEO kind of like hit that WordPress works with that allows people to find your website and your web pages and your posts or whatever you're creating. So we're going to go to posts and we're going to go to categories and let's create 3 categories. I don't care. You can create them to be the highest level for your website. So mine are going to be puppies. And you can come in here and put puppies in the slug. It's not going to be apparent. And you can put a description in if you want. The description does help you a little bit, but it's not necessary. Okay, so if I just add that, it creates puppies as a category. I'm going to put in dogs, add another category. And I think I'm going to do pets because that's a pretty good category for me. And I'm going to also do cats. Okay. Because I'm just going to kind of hit all of these things that could be fostered. So just create 3 or 4 categories. Pets is pretty much my most general category because pets will encompass hamsters and birds and rabbits and dogs and puppies and cats and kittens, right? So that's my highest category. So that is the one I think I'm going to set as my global category because, like I said, nobody in the world has ever searched for uncategorized, but people have searched for pets. And so pets, even though it's very high level, it's going to give me one more step with SEO finding my website over using the uncategorized. Okay, I'll give you guys a couple minutes. Give me a thumbs up when you're done. Okay, then next thing we're going to do is go back to our settings. And we are going to go back to the settings now, and we're going to go back to the writing settings. Okay. This is very important because, again, nobody's ever searched for uncategorized, but now look at all of these categories we can pick from. Okay. Pick the most general one that will encompass anything you write on your website. Okay. So this is the one that if somebody was searching, they would find your website. Like I said, nobody in this whole world of the internet has ever searched for uncategorized. Okay. The default post forums were established when WordPress, before the block editors came, the Gutenberg block editors came around. And it was a way to create posts that had more formats. It gave theme developers the availability to change the look and layout of posts and pages across the theme. Okay. So it gave theme developers the availability to make changes. A lot of theme developers, even though they had all these options to change the post formats, stayed with the standard format. Okay. Even though they had the option to go with all of these, most of the theme developers stayed with the standard. These are still here because they're grandfathered in for themes that did use them. Okay. So we will keep it at standard. Okay. The next is post via email. Okay. This would be if you are a marketeer and you are emailing to a list of people something you want to create as a post on your website. So I am writing an email about saving the date for an adoption event that is going to happen. And I wanted to also create a post on my website. So the email goes out to all of the people on my email list. And then the post also comes here, or the email goes out to all the people on my email list, and it comes here and creates a post on my website. The mail server would be like Google or AOL or wherever the server is. And it normally is this part of the username. So jcc.edu would be the mail server we would be going to if we're using our JCC edu emails. The one thing you have to be aware of is that this server can be Google or whatever. This login name should not be a personal email that you're getting a whole bunch of personal emails to, because all of those emails will filter into this website and create posts for each of those emails. How many emails do you guys get a day? More than one? 1 to 10? 20 to 30? 40 to 50? Too many. Okay, I'm with you too. I get anywhere on multiple of my personal emails. I can get anywhere from 25 every couple hours, just depending on what I've signed up for. Okay. So it gets crazy, right? So if I had 25 personal emails coming to my personal email being created as post here, I'd have to filter through all of those and just figure out which one I really want and delete all the rest. That would be really messy, right? Super messy. So what you want to do is make sure that this email is only going to be on the list for your marketeer's email list and not be a personal email. Does that all make sense, guys? Okay. I don't want my Sephora advertisements being pushed to be a post on this website. I don't want my Chewy discounts being posted to here because I have them as an email that sends to my personal email. I want this to be an email that is only used to be on the email list for Constant Contacts or MailChimp or Weber. I don't want it to be something that has been given out to a lot of other people that is going to create more emails to this email. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to get some spammy emails that will come. You're just going to have to like walk through those and clean those up. Okay. So this would be the actual email that you create and its password. You would also set up the category to be a very generalized category because uncategories is not something you'd ever use. Okay. And then the update services, I pretty much just leave it here. You can actually go through and read about the update services. And this would be more if you are worried that things aren't getting published like when they need to be published. This usually works perfectly fine for me. I don't need to change it. And go ahead and save the changes. So you want to make sure you have your category here and your category here. Please don't put in a personal email here. That's all I've got to say. This has to be a unique username or a unique email that is never used anywhere else. So it wouldn't be an email that would be a personal email ever, 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 ever. Okay? Everybody done with that? Thumbs up. Perfect. Okay. Reading. This is how people read posts on your website, posts and pages.
Do that really quick right now. We're going to go to our pages because right now we have nothing to select. If I click static, I have a sample page and a sample page. That's all I have. I have one page on my website right now. Is everybody with me? They only have one page on their website right now? Correct? Correct, correct. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go to the pages real quick and we're just going to create pages kind of like we did last week, just really quickly to get some pages out there. So we're going to add a new page and mine is going to follow my list of pages. So this is just going to go through the block editor again. I don't need that. I'm just going to put in my home page, was one of my pages. Okay, and I'm just going to publish. So you want to make sure you publish it. Once you create it, just publish it. Publish it. So that will get one of our pages out there. And then it will let us pick a pattern. Don't do that yet. Go away. Oh my goodness. It really wants us to make that change. And then we'll go over here. We're going to add a new page. And this is going to be my post page. And that's going to be my either puppy news or news. I think I'm going to make mine news. Maybe pet news. That makes more sense because I did pet. Pet news. So this is going to be my blog post page. Okay, and I'm just going to publish that and publish that. So now I will have those pages out there. So I will change it from a blog post page to being a static home page, and then my blogs or my post, whatever you want to call them, will go to the puppy news page. Okay, don't want to pick a pattern there because that's just the container. So this is just going to be the container where all my posts will go to. Okay, so the one you have for that will just be the container. So once you have created both of your pages, you'll go to the left where it says View Pages, the little W on the left, and that should take you back to the dashboard to view the pages. You can tell, I can really tell we're all working on this at the same time. It's really slow. So here it took us back to the dashboard, to the pages, and showed us that we have a home page and our post page that we just created. If you don't have those, just go ahead and add a new page. Either here, add a new page, or you can drop this down and add a page. Whichever way you want to do it, just make sure you get 2 of those pages done. Give me a thumbs up once you have those 2 pages done. You guys are so good at the thumbs up. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions about what we're doing or why we're doing all these settings things? A lot of things people think WordPress is just plug and play. You plug it in, you start building pages, and you don't have to do anything else. This is where I say no. You have to actually do the settings. And a lot of times that's the same way with extra code you add into it. So with plugins, you have to check and see if there's any setup of things you put on your WordPress website before you start building. Because if you start building, you might have to go back and fix things. And here I'm trying to alleviate you having to step back 6 or 7 steps to fix things. Think about it. If you created 20 pages on a website, 20 posts on a website, and had the wrong dates and times on them, it could really make people uncomfortable under not understanding what's going on your website. Okay. Okay, we're going to go back to settings. We're going to go back to the reading. And this is where we're going to select the static. And we're going to do the home page. And we're going to do home and the post page. And we're going to do the new pets. And then we're going to look down here at how many blogs are going to show on my pet news page. And it just depends on your point of view, how many you want to be there. If you're going to do 10 or 20, just be aware it's going to show the whole post if you do the full text. So if you want to do 10 or 20, or you want to have a lot of posts showing, I would normally say do excerpts, okay? The larger this number is, you want less showing, and it's going to make them have to click through based on kind of like a little teaser of what is out there, okay? Okay. The syndicate feed is for RSS feeds. So this would be how much information is going to be displayed via the RSS feed. So also be aware you might not want to have the whole text out there via the feeds. And this was actually for the feeds, not the post. So I actually like the excerpts. I like them coming back to my website, reading the article they thought was good, and a lot of times I feel if they come back to my website, there is a chance they will stay and read other articles that I have out there. The last thing I would like us to do is search engine visibility. I would like to discourage search engines from finding the website at this time. I would like to discourage search engines from finding the website at this time. That allows me to work on the website and not have people finding it and commenting on my website, or finding it and then leaving because there's nothing on it right now because I'm building. Okay, so when I'm building, I always discourage search engines from finding my website. Google, Yahoo, Bing give you a little bump up when you create a website with new content because you're a shiny new object out on the internet. And then he's like, here, shiny new object. Let me show it to everybody that is searching for something about pets. Okay. And you get just that little bit of bump. But if you're building the website, people come to your website and they leave right away because there's nothing there. They came looking for really good information and there's really nothing there. So you need to make sure you want to still get that bump up. So you tell search engines, hey, don't index my site yet. It's not done. I'm building it. Okay. You also want to make sure once you go live, you uncheck that because you want Google to find your website and you want that shiny new object bump. Okay. For SEO. But you don't want to lose that bump by building what and losing people and being pushed down in the rankings before you even got your website live. Okay, so go ahead and save those changes. Discussions. I will tell you, discussions are going to be very personal on how you want to work with discussions. WordPress can be a social platform, meaning you can get people to comment and post lots of comments on your website, which is great. Okay. But you also have to have somebody willing to do the work and monitor the comments that come in on your website because there will be a lot of spammy comments that will be placed on your website. And if you get a whole bunch of spammy comments with a whole bunch of link backs to other websites, you're hurting your website. Okay. You're not helping your website. So you have to decide, okay, I'm going to let people comment and then I'm going to go back and check it, or I'm going to have to verify every single comment that comes in on my website. It's whichever way you want to deal with it. And that's going to be a very business-like decision with whoever you're working with, or it's going to be a personal decision. Okay, so you'll have to decide which way um, we can work with that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to say is I'm going to leave these all checked. Okay, letting people submit comments to my websites. So I'm going to be a very social website. I'm going to say anybody that's looking for pets or puppies or kittens or dogs or bunnies or hamsters or whatever, I'm wanting to hear from them. Okay, but the comment must have to fill out an email. Yeah, I think they should have an email. Register must log in to comment. No, I don't think they have to register to log in. Automatically close comments. I don't recommend doing this unless you have comments that are not, or content that's not evergreen. Okay. So if you are creating content that is seasonally specific, you might want to set up a close date. But if you have evergreen content, which means it will be good today, tomorrow, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, keep this open. Okay. So determine whether your content is evergreen. Okay. If your content is going to be something that is going to change based on technology, okay, you may only want this comment open for a specific amount of time based on maybe new technology that's coming out. Okay, so you might want to close the comments because you don't really want to be hearing from people after the technology has changed and after you've created a post about a specific type of technology that is going to change in, let's say, 2 weeks. Okay, so there you've got your 14 days. Um, show comment, cookie opt-in checkbox, allow users. That's probably a good thing. Um, if you're going to nest them, um, the number of levels of nesting, and this is where people get off topic and they start talking about another. So I start talking about fostering puppies, and somehow somebody gets off talking about dog food, and then somebody else gets off topic and starts talking about um, chicken because somebody else said something about chicken dog food, and then somebody else gets off on topic and starts talking about um, oh, I'm trying to go down a rabbit hole here. Um, they're talking about chicken jokes, and then it gets very off color. Okay, so you don't even you're way off from. I was talking about dog food, and they're completely talking about something that's not even close to the subject I was talking about. So you might want to set that to maybe 2 or 3. Okay, you really don't want to get people going down that rabbit hole and not really talking about what you're talking about. Okay, and pulling in information that has nothing to do with dog food. Okay, um, how much you're going to see. This is going to be very personal. Um, the order in which you're going to see it, the older comments new display at the top or the newer ones. I would say the newer ones should be at the top, the older ones at the bottom. That's just me. But you can pick. This is definitely a personal preference there. Email me whenever. Ooh, okay. This is going to be somebody is moderating. The person moderating the comments is going to be your admin. At this time, that admin is the person that's going to moderate the comments, and they're going to get all these emails whenever somebody comments. So be very aware this could fill up your email. Right there, Erica, you're already saying your email is getting too many. If you put in your email right there, you could be getting a lot more. So once your website goes live, this could be pretty rough, okay? If you're getting a whole bunch of comments and you're putting out content that a lot of people want to comment on, okay? Before a comment appears, I always say it must be manually approved. I did check this. The author must have a previous approved comment. And this was around Christmas time one year. And somebody put in, oh, this was really a great article. I really enjoyed it, blah, blah, blah. Great comment. Loved it. Their next comment, like I said, it was around Christmas time, was, oh, I swear it was 300 links, like Bic Pen, Cialis, anything you could think of. Just tons of backlinks, okay, was their second comment. So they were using a bot to do kind of a phishing comment approval. And then their second comment would be just filled with backlinks. It was horrible. So I had to go delete them from my post. Broke my heart. But I learned my lesson. There are bots out there that do that. Um, hold comment in queues. That's just if you want, you can actually set up things that you're going to look for, disallow words if you want people not to be talking about certain things. So you can actually set up different words or URLs that you don't want people accessing your website. Avatars, if you're going to allow avatars, my website is a G website, and I pretty much think anybody that's going to have an avatar with their user, if they sign on, would have to be G rated, and then you could pick one of these silly avatars if you want. And then you can just save, or you can just set it to blank if you don't want avatars on the website. Gravatar is a place where people can create avatars and have them on when they post. Okay, we'll do media because media is pretty quick, and then we'll take a break. Okay, per theme. Okay, this is also kind of grandfathered in from older themes that would use these image sizes, like the thumbnail size, the medium size, the large size, and the theme would let you select each of those and put them in different parts of the theme, like how the theme layout was set up. Um, Not really being used as much anymore. The only thing it does do is increases the database. Okay, so it creates for a single picture that you put in, it puts in the original size of the image, and then it puts in these three sizes of the images also. Also, okay, so that is something to be aware of. I um, set them all to 0 because, like I said, this is all grandfathered in. It was always very theme specific, and it just didn't make sense to be creating 3 new images in my database when I recommend sizing images before you bring them up or put them on a website. Because websites, the biggest thing that drives website um, or slowing websites down, the processing of a website page, is images and videos. Okay. So if you are putting images or videos up on a website and they're too big, it's slowing down the website. And then if you're putting up the too big image and you're putting up 4 other images of all these different sizes, that's taking up space and it's making your website, when it goes out to the database, file through all of these extra images that it doesn't need. Okay, so setting it to 0 just eliminates the extra images out in the database that holds all your media. Okay, so also uploading the files and saving it to month and year, I definitely recommend. There are some other plugins that allow you to sort your media other ways. So I do recommend you look at other media plugins to allow you to sort it maybe by content that you're putting up there. So go ahead and save that. And that is images. We'll talk about permalinks after break. Is everybody good? Any questions before we go to break? Are you asleep? I put you to sleep. Is that the thumbs up? You're asleep? I hope not. Okay. Let's go to break. Let's go to break. If you have a question, ask me before you go. Back. And I don't know how I think this is going to work if you're not back. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So if you didn't save the media, go ahead and save it down here at the bottom. Make sure you save that, and that will change it so that when you put in an image or PDF or something, it doesn't try to create all these different sizes. Okay. The next thing is the permalinks, and the permalinks is what they call the URL for the post and pages. And as you can see, this one has day and name. So it does allow people to see like when it was created, like the date and then the name of the post. I definitely like to have just the post name instead of just having the date in there. But if you're doing something that or creating posts that are very time dependent, like I said, not evergreen content, you might want to put the date in there so that they can see that this is older content or this is newer content. You're really up to date. You're on the cutting edge. You're doing something that has the actual year and date in it. Maybe you just want the year and the month in it. Okay. Maybe you want, like me, you just want the actual name of the post. So you can pick which one of these you want. Definitely, this is something once you change it, okay, you don't want to keep changing the permalink, because once you modify the permalink away from what the PHP code would have named it as this, and you name it here, it changes the way search engines will find the pages. So it's very important that you don't make it where somebody could have linked to this page and then they get a 404 error because they can't find the page because you changed the permalinks. So if you decide that you need to change the permalinks down the line, definitely make sure you do redirects to the new naming convention of your permalinks so that you don't lose people to 404 errors. And if your website gets a whole bunch of 404 errors, that pushes you down in the rankings again. Another thing that could hurt you. So don't do it if you don't have to make a change to the permalinks. If you can make a single change to the permalinks and stay with it, that's the best thing to do. The other thing is to make permalinks with categories and tag bases. That isn't something that you need to do at this point. Okay, go ahead and save your changes. Okay, the last thing is privacy policies, and it just creates a page and it uses um, the it's kind of a privacy policy, just a general privacy policy that's been legally looked at by WordPress, and they don't guarantee it will protect you. They always say, read it, have your legal team read it, and then put it up. But it has been looked at by a legal team of people, and it will cover probably most websites, but it is a way for you to say, this is what we're doing with the data we collect on our website. So if you're going to have a form on the website, if you're going to collect any kind of data, even email and people's names, you have to tell people how you're going to use that data. Okay, so that's what the privacy policy does. It says that you as the owner of the website will or will not do stuff with the data. Okay, so gives people the option to opt out of looking at your website. Very important most of the time that people know that. So I just use the page that's already created. You can create a new privacy policy page. There is another plugin that I'll show you that gives you the terms of service and privacy policy pages that can be created. There is a whole group of people going through and securing websites and making sure that privacy policies and terms of services are up to speed across the United States. And then if you're going to go to the EU, across Europe, if you want people in other countries looking at your website. Which most people can see a website if it's on the internet. So just what you're going to allow and what you're going to be looking at. Okay, that is it for the settings. Any questions?
Okay.
Perfect.
Um, so we went through the settings. What I'm going to show you is I'm going to go back to Self-Aculous. And then you guys, I don't really need you to do this unless you've made an extra website. And what I'm going to do is just delete one of their websites so that you can actually see that you can manage the websites here and get rid of them if you don't want them anymore. So you don't have to keep all the websites here. It actually has the website that I did, the second one that I did here, that I'm going to get rid of just so that I don't have this extra code or have to do anything. So I can remove it. This removes the installation from the suffix list. It removes it off of the database. It removes the files. It removes the database. It removes everything. So it's really good if you know you don't need this anymore to get rid of it. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and remove. It'll ask me, do I want to remove the directories, the database, the users? And I want to remove it all. Okay. Because it's not something I need out there anymore. Puppies 2 was not the one I was working on today. And so I can just go and remove it. And this is what will happen at the end of this class is they will, I don't know if they give you a week or two or they give you to the end of the semester, but before the class is over, I'll show you how to do a backup of your website and how to load it onto a locally hosted environment so that if you want to keep your website, you have the availability to have it and to work on it and to play on it. So I want you to have that availability, and then you'll have it for your portfolio to show people that you or at least have had some experience with WordPress, because it is important that you're showing that. Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you was that if you do forget your password, you can get into the back or the dashboard without knowing your password by coming here to the website and clicking on it, and then it will give you the front of the website. And then you can log in as an admin from cPanel. So as long as you have access to your cPanel and the manager, the WordPress websites, you can get to the dashboard even if you don't know your password. Okay. And I will show you how you can change your password to your WordPress website and to get to the dashboard. So this is an old website. And you can see that I have more stuff going on in this website than I did on this one. Okay. Because this one, there's a smaller dashboard because there's less plugins on it. And so less plugins for the website. I probably also need to update the WordPress version on that other one. I think I don't know if they go through and update that for me or not. But yeah, I need to look at that and just check it out. That being said, I'm going to have us talk about pages and posts a little bit more. I would like us to create 5 pages. You already have 2 pages created. You had your home and your blog post page. So I'd like you to come up with 3 more names of pages. I'm going to do about, services, and FAQs. And you guys can pick any 3 names you want, okay? Just so that you have them that you can work on. So we're going to go ahead and go to pages, and we'll create some pages and kind of play with the block editor. We'll use some of the pre-formatted blocks so that we can go and make modifications with our content if we want. And we will also come back and then talk about posts and a little bit more about posts. So we're going to create at least 3 more pages. So I'm going to start on the pages. So I'm over here on the left and I'm going to click on pages. And it says all pages. And I'm just going to go ahead and add a page here. But there's also the add a page that was on the left side. I could have used that. The title here is going to be my about page. Or about us, whatever. And then I am going to go to the block. And here it is. It's kind of giving us something based on the about page. It's giving us some layouts that I could look at and decide if this worked. I kind of like this one because I can put some puppy pictures in here and I can put some stuff for podcasts and stuff there on the about if I want. Tell us your story. I could put this on my about page. I kind of like having the two little pictures like superimposed on top of each other. That's kind of fun. It kind of takes it out of the natural flow of a web page. So you can kind of scroll through any of these that you like and pick one you like, and then we can talk about it, or you can pick the same one I do, and as I talk about it and go through it. So I am going to pick, what do I want? I think I like this one with the big hero image. So I'm going to grab this one. It's going to load it onto my website, and this will be my About Us page right now. Okay. And honestly, there's some frequently asked questions on this page, which I might get rid of these blocks or capture these blocks and take that to my FAQ. But at this point, as I roll over and I look at a block, okay, so as I look at this block, I get this heads up display again. The heads up display gives me the heads up display where I can make changes here via the heads up display via all these items here. I can say I want that centered. Okay. Or I could say I want that at the bottom, so that just kind of pulls it to the bottom. I can replace the image, which I will. I'll find puppy images later and replace the images. I can change some of the information about what I'm looking at over here in the properties. So the properties are over to the right, and the properties also are in the heads up display. So I do have the availability to use both of those options and then the drop down options to work on whether I'm going to make some changes or add a block above or below it. Okay. Then the block also has settings, like some of the settings that I'm seeing here, what I want to see and how I want to look. It's left 50%, top 95%, a picture of a flower, which is really nice. It gave me all that alternate, but then it also gives me styles. And the styles allow me to change the color of the text, change headings, change overlay, change the opacity. I put in dual tones, change the font sizes. It also allows me to customize font sizes. It allows me to change padding. So as I look at the padding here, padding is the amount from the content that it's forcing to just leave space. So these are the padding at the top and the bottom, and this is the padding on the right and the left. I do have the option to click on these custom sizes, make them EMs or make them pixels or REMs. I have the availability to modify the margins. As you can see, I can drag and make the margins. I can customize the margins. Block spacing, this would be the space between blocks. Maybe that's the space in between blocks, but that doesn't look like it's changing it on the fly. That might be, some of these have to be published and saved where you can see the changes. But let me see. I didn't make changes between these two either. The aspect ratio, the minimum height ratio, and I could actually change that. Let's say I wanted that to be 500 pixels, or let's say I wanted it to be 25 EM, maybe. So I can change it to anything I want. And so there I change it to 25 EM, or 20 EM, so that it makes a modification to what I'm looking at. Borders, border radius, I can round the corners if I want. this also allows me to unlink all the radiuses. So all four corners are linked. And I can unlink them and like just put a border radius on two of the corners if I want, or I can keep it linked and have it do all four. So this is based on that image. And then as I click on other things, I have other heads-up displays and other styles that can be changed. And the styles over here allow me to make changes. I can even change the typography. Let's see. Click on here. Font. I could click on the font. It's a default font, but I could drop this down, and then I have all these fonts I can look at. So these are the default based on this theme. Okay, so I could probably, with CSS, add more fonts if I want. Okay, and then this also allows me to change the borders, put borders in, and then I could put in anchor tags. So if I want this to link out to somewhere, I can put in an anchor tag. I can put in additional classes to give me more CSS. There's a lot I can do with each of these. Okay, once I'm happy with it, I can publish it. I'm going to go ahead and just publish it similar to what I have it. I just made a change. I need to go out and find images, which I don't have right now, but we'll talk a little bit more about those later. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and publish this and publish that. And so I have my About page. So now I have two more pages. I have my services and frequently asked question page I need to create. And so I have a new page. I want to add a new page, and this is on the right-hand side where it says Add Page. And I'm going to do my service page. Okay. And it gives me a lot of the same stuff here. And I can do that, or I can just say, okay, with this one, I'm going to look at the blocks. And from here, I'm going to browse all the blocks, and this will open up a browse on the left side here, where it can actually look at each of the block items that I can select, or I can find patterns. So there is stuff I can look for. Like here's some service patterns I can look at. And I could say, oh, these are kind of nice. So I kind of like this one where it has me subscribe and it has some more pictures that I can look at. That's kind of a nice one. I could look at any of these patterns that would give me, so maybe featured. Kind of like that too. So I think I'm going to pick that one. Okay, and then I can close that. And I can build each of these from scratch too. So this is a group, and you can actually see that it's a group because there's two little blocks grouped together here. And you can actually see this as a group. So you do have the availability to ungroup things. So here is all my grouping things and how I want it grouped. So grouped, transform to a row, stack it, transform to a grid. So all of that I can do with that. I can come down here, and then I have my settings and my styles. I can make modifications to that image, and I can round those corners if I want to round those, and that kind of looks fun. And if I put a puppy in the middle there, that might be kind of cute. Okay, so then I can publish that. So I'm doing these fairly quickly, but this is all being recorded, so you guys can go back and watch what I'm doing. But it is something that I want you to know that you have a lot of flexibility over on that right side to modify your pages or your posts, okay? And right now, I'm just publishing everything automatically, okay? When I get into posts, I'll talk more about us and making some more changes. So I'm just going to go add another page, and this one's going to be my FAQ page. Okay, so it does come up and it tries to give you some suggestions. And this one I'm going to build just out of blocks. So this one I'm going to put in an image myself, just kind of leave the image there. From there, I'm going to select to put it something after it, and I'm going to put text. So that's pretty good. That's just the text blocks after it. I think I'm going to put in a heading. So this is my heading 1, so it came up with a heading 2, so that's perfect. And then after that heading 2, I'm just going to go after that, put in a paragraph. This is paragraph. Okay, and then maybe I want to, after that, in another block, and I think I want to put in a gallery. So then I could upload images and put in a gallery of images here. So that will be my gallery here. And so I'm just going to publish this because this is kind of like the structure. And I'm starting with an idea of how my mobile structure will be. And now as I move into the different viewports, I can change, like I can change the, so I could actually do this at the mobile and see how that looks. And I'm like, okay, I kind of like that. That's going to look nice. And that's what I want it to be. I can put it back to desktop. And then here is when I go back to desktop, I can actually make changes to what I want it to be versus tablet and desktop and mobile. So I'm just going to go ahead and publish that real quick, showing you that you can use a pre-built form, you can use a pre-built pattern, or you can build it yourself. Okay, so those were the 3 options that I did with my about, services, and FAQ pages. And I published all of them. So I'm going to give you time to build out your 3 pages here, and then we're going to talk about posts. So just let me know when you're done building your pages. Okay, so we're going to go back to the dashboard and we're going to talk about posts a little bit. And we did talk a little about screen options, and that is for everything that you look at. And based on, we're looking at core WordPress right now. So core WordPress is like the vanilla, right? You haven't added anything to it. You haven't added any hot fudge. You haven't added any nuts. You haven't added the cherry on top. You haven't added anything. It's just what comes out of the package, okay? So core is what we've got. We haven't added anything. We did take the core WordPress, and core WordPress grabbed a theme. And so our theme is the only thing that is styling so far for us, okay? And we're going to just kind of keep it the way it is. But something you need to be aware of is the screen options over here on the right drop down, and they show what you're going to see here in like the content area. So if I unclick the date, the comments, the tags, categories, the author, all I see is the name of the post. Okay. And then I can have an extended view, which gives me more information, or I have a compact view, which I really think the compact view is the best way to do it. Author, category, tag. If you don't have comments, you're not interested in the date, those are things that you don't have to have in there. We all got Hello World when we created we got the sample page and we got Hello World. We're going to go ahead and trash the Hello World because it has the wrong date. Everything about it's wrong because the date it had was that UTC 0, that was wrong. So we are just going to get rid of the posts. We're going to do that with our pages too when we go back and clean up our pages. But right now we're just working with the posts. Okay, so we talked about the screen options. Screen options are showing us what we see here as the content in the center here. We have no posts now, and we're going to add a post. And I'm going to add a post about Puppies at, let's say, 4 weeks. Okay. So this is just talking about puppies at 4 weeks. Right now, this is the H1 or the heading 1 of the post. Okay. When I come out here, again, the blocks are the same. It allows me to put in images. It allows me to put in a gallery, a paragraph. I can browse. I can use any of the things that are out there. I'm going to put in a paragraph. Again, we can use lorem ipsum. I'm going to go back and use an old website that I had, the 2025 website, and just grab the content from that. If you want to use lorem ipsum, if you want to use ChatGPT, if you want to create some content, I just want you to have about 5 paragraphs of content like we did last week. So I'm just going to go back out to this one, puppy news, and I'm just going to steal the content from this old website. And you could do that too, but because yeah, 6 weeks. I'm going to do that. I'm going to just do this one. Okay, so I'm just going to grab feeding puppies. So not quite exactly the same information, but it works for what I'm doing. So I'm just going to grab 5 paragraphs of content and put it out there. You guys grab 5 paragraphs of content, put it out there. You should put your headings out there. As the content changes from one small article of content to another, it allows people to skim your content faster. So I do recommend from your H2 at the very beginning, go ahead and figure out, okay, so this was feeding puppies at 6 weeks. So I'll put 6 weeks. These are 6 weeks. Okay, at 6 weeks, small amount, frequent. Okay, so then I'm going to put in about 2 paragraphs in, I'm going to put in another heading, and this is going to be a heading 3. So I'm going to change that to a heading 3. Where it says 2, I'm going to click on the 2, and I'm going to select 3. And then here it says puppies grow and approach their dietary needs change. Okay, so I'm just going to put dietary needs change, or will change. Okay, so I'm going to copy that and make that my heading. My dietary needs will change. Okay, so that will allow people to see that this is where we start talking about the needs changing, saying you monitor their growth, and then I'll just put in proper diet as my next one here. So I'm going to click on this, put in another heading, and just put in proper diet. Okay, so that just allows me to get some of those options in there to outline my content. And I want to diet 32. One thing you will notice is last week when we were working on our websites and we put in the image. So if I come here in between my first and second paragraph and try to find an image, it allows me to upload an image from the media library, which is the stuff I've already loaded, or insert from a URL. It does not have the options that we had last week when we were using WordPress.com, because those are plugins to WordPress and they allow you to use the pixel and the, I think maybe it was Google Photos too. So this with the images, you need to have your images already found and sized or whatever and available for you to work with, which we don't have right now. Okay, so I'm not going to upload any images right now, but we'll talk about that. I promise we'll talk. Okay. Something about this is it does do the save and it saves it as a draft. We do have the heads up display. We do have the settings. We do have the styles that allow us to make the modifications to what we have on our pages. So that all is the same. The one thing that I want to talk about that's a little different is a lot of times people get in kind of a flow of writing posts. And when they're writing posts, they might want to schedule out multiple weeks in advance. To do that, there is a availability to schedule your post. And so you could write today and schedule for it to actually be published 3 weeks from now, which is really kind of nice. It gives you that flexibility to say, okay, my Tuesdays are going to be my creating my post day for the next month. And I'm going to create all the posts on Tuesdays and get them all written out, all designed out the way I want. And then I'm going to have them scheduled to go out like this week, next week, following week, and so on to this. And so that just gets me the first week of the month, the first Tuesday of the month. I know I'm going to sit down and write all my posts for that website. So to do that, we have to come back and not be in the block. So over here on the right, you're on the block. We have to be at the post level. And at the post level, right now, our status is draft. Okay. And so it's not published. It's not out there for anybody to see. So if anybody went out and looked at my website right now, this post would not be available. All of my pages would be available, but this post would not be available. So to see this, what we have to do, instead of saying publish immediately, we click on that and it allows us to pick a date and time that we want it to be published. So I'm going to say that this is going to be published on tomorrow, and it's going to be published at, let's say, 7 a.m. Okay, so first thing in the morning tomorrow. So I'm going to publish it tomorrow. It's going to go out. It's a single post. I am the author. It's the single post template option that I'm using. There are multiple options now with the full site editing. You can have different template options, but I want it to be the single post template. Discussions are open. The standard format, all of that is the same, and I'm going to keep that. I do have the availability to see if this theme allows me to put in feature images, and feature images allow you to have kind of like this nice big top image on the top of your post that looks really nice, and it is very theme dependent. It does allow me to select the categories, and I do know that pet is what normally gets selected, but because I'm talking about puppies, I'm going to select puppies. And this is about feeding, so tags are the more general information. So I'm going to put feeding, add a tag of feeding. And if I press enter, and then 6 week, you can put a space. These just are SEO kind of things that help people find it. And you can put in 1 or 2 categories and then as many tags as you want, but don't get too crazy on the tags because it should be all associated with what the content is on your website. Okay. So you don't want it to be super crazy. Okay. So then you want your category selected, you want your tags selected. And then the status, it will be scheduled. So this went from published to scheduled. And so if I schedule, okay, and so then it comes here and it says who can see it. I did have a client once that worked with cleaning people. And so you could, on the website, schedule to be a client to have your house clean, or you could be one of the people in the service industry that was cleaning the house. The people in the service industry had private pages they could go to buy the special cleaning products that this cleaning website used. And they did that so that as people walked in their house, they would smell the blueberry scent of the cleaning product that these people used. So it did give people the feeling that their house was clean, because as they walked in the house, besides the house being clean and neat and beautiful, they could also have that sensory of the smell too. So they had the sight and the smell going together. So you have the availability to have your posts be public, or they can be private, or they can be password protected. Where the cleaning people had it, it was password protected, so that they had to have a password to get in to buy the product. Okay. And so that is something that you can do. Most of the time you're going to keep it to public, but there might be times you're working with somebody and they need the page or the posts to be private or password protected. Okay. Okay. And then these are just arrows that open and close. And then you have published tomorrow, so that you can open that back up and see the publish date. And maybe I need to put it at noon tomorrow. My boss called and said, hey, we don't want it to go out at 8. We want it to go out at noon. We're finding that more people at their lunch break tend to look at our posts than people first thing in the morning. So I could change this to be 0. We'll put that to PM. Okay, so it'll be published at noon tomorrow. Okay, and then all I have to do is hit the schedule and it will save it. Okay, we're going to add another post, and actually, I'm going to stop for a second. How are you guys doing? Here. We're going to add another post. Okay, and let's see what I had on the one here. Oh, there's one. I'll just grab that one. Fostering again. Okay, that'll be my fostering again. I just grabbed the same stuff and just did fostering again. Okay. So this one will be fostering 10 puppies. And okay, then I'm just going to put in the text again. No. Copy it again. It's interesting. I didn't think the image would come over. Okay, well, I copied the image, but I am going to get rid of it. Let's see. We will be talking about images a little later. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead, and on this one, I'm going to save it as a draft. Okay. And then I'm going to I'm going to go back to my post and just kind of look and see. So now I have 2 posts total. I have one scheduled, one is a draft, and one is in trash because I threw away that Hello World one. And so now we're going to go ahead and add one more post, and we're going to publish a post. So I'm going to use the same text. And then this is going to be feeding. Okay. And I'm going to use the same text. For this one, I'm just going to go ahead and publish. Okay. We worked on going to the appearance and the editor, and we went and looked at the editor, and we created our navigation, and we talked about the styles, and I changed my background to this gradient background with the styles, and I went into the backgrounds, and you can add a background image, but you can also modify the colors that are in the backgrounds. Yeah. What question?
Oh.
Okay. And then we went to the navigation, and we added all of the pages we wanted in the navigation and got rid of the privacy policy that we didn't want in the navigation, which it was in the header. That created the top menu bar. We did the templates, and then we templates looking at the different templates that you can make changes to. And then we will definitely go into this a little bit more, but there are also patterns that you guys can pick and make modifications here. And then we with the patterns, and then there's some really nice banners if you want to start with. And then you do have the option to change your header, and then your footer, and then we have it look and have the information in the order that you want it to. And then this, like I said, it's a full site editing. And then and each of these items here, that if you went in here with the large title, or you had the vertical, or this one, and then we came in here, each of these are block items. Okay, so this is a block item. And I could also group in an image next to this block item so that I had a logo sitting next to my fostering. And then we 6 puppies. Sounds like I'm fostering a lot of puppies. And then is a paragraph. I could make font changes to it. I could do lots of stuff to it, just like, and then we block that you make changes to. And then we is the whole row, and then where it has the paragraph or the title here, and it has the navigation. So you could add in a block in the center here. So I could also add in an image block in the center there that could be the image of the puppy. So there's a lot of things that I could do to this and make the modifications. And then you make your modifications. And then you can change colors and backgrounds. I could add a shadow. And then the layout just kind of says how wide it is and how tall it is. So the width is 645. And then the wide width is 1340. So I could put those in EMs. If I didn't want it in pixels, I could change the padding if I want it. If I wanted more padding at the top and the bottom. And then we have the availability to make changes to the padding if I want more padding on either side. And then we pull those more into the center. I can make changes and I could customize it with these little, and then we here on the side. And then the spacing, the block spacing is 1.2 REMs. So that makes those changes. So I'm going to save those and save that. and we will go back, and then we view the site, and then we the changes. So I will go back, and then we right back here at the editor. I'm at the patterns. I'm at the designs. I'm back at the main menu here. And then I can go to the front of the website, and now you can kind of see what my home page looks like. And then we about page. And then we queue page. And then we that was the one I built. And then this is page. This is the one I pulled in. And then we patterns from. And then the pup news is where I only have one blog post that is published. The other two are in draft or scheduled. So you can actually see how each of your pages look at this time. And then we did that really fast because I want to get to users. Users are pretty important. I do want to tell you that on the assignment, I do have an admin user that you need to create for me, because when you give me the URL, you're also going to have that user on your website, because I'm going to have to sign on to your dashboard and check some things that you did, okay, to give you your points for this assignment. And then does that make sense? And so we're going to go ahead and talk about users now. There are 5 types of users. And we're going to talk about each of them. What I'm going to do really quickly, and you do not have to do this. You can just watch if you want to. You can follow along if you want to. And then or just me trying to tell you what, and then and what they will do for your website. So what I normally do is I have my admin user, and I add, and then we names, and then we ask for a subscriber, and then we Mary S. Then I have to spell it right. Doesn't really matter because it's not going anywhere, and I don't know how I got my capital. Wow. And then we Gmail, and then we first name. I'm just going to put in password. So I'm going to have really, and then we password, and then I'm going to confirm it's a weak password, and this is going to be a subscriber. Okay. And I'm not going to send an email to that account, because if there was an account, I don't want them to know that. And then we like need to spell Gmail, right? Okay. So I'm making a subscriber, and then we say, and then we don't forget to do that. I sure hope I didn't mess myself up there. Okay. And then I'm going to do, and then we Mary. Okay, so subscriber contributor is the next one. So Mary C. And then we see again. This keyboard is a little different for me. And then I'm trying to do this fast. And then we Gmail. And then we home. And then I'm gonna have password. And then we confirm it's weak. I'm not gonna send it, and I'm gonna go to contributor. Okay, so that's the next level up. I'm gonna add this user. And then we add a user, and then we giving me it's yelling at me every time I make a weak password. And then so Mary A is author, and then I'm going to create Mary A. And then we at Gmail. And then we com. And then I'm going to do password. And then Google is very mad at me. And then we keep sending me little notices that I am creating weak passwords. And so you don't really normally want to give a password as password, right? I'm just doing this to make this easy and fast and easy. And then we can put these in here. And then the very last one is the editor. We went through all of them. And then we that is editor. So editor is right below admin. And then we added all 5 user types in there for you. Okay? So that you can see like what they look like. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to sign out. And then I'm going to sign in. And then with Mary S. And then we select all that. And then we can change my password, and I'm not going to. But if you can see, and it doesn't really let me do much with Mary S. Even the dashboard has changed. I can go look at Puppy News. I can't make any changes. I can go back to the back end. And for the profile, the only thing I really can change is maybe the color of what my dashboard looks like. But I really can't do anything else. I can add a comment. So that is something I can do. And then I can go to Puppy News and let me see. Let's see if I can leave a comment. And then did I not allow for comments? Maybe I didn't allow for comments. And then we allowed for comments. But subscribers usually can allow, oh, there it is, comments. And then we okay? So I can see the comment right now, but nobody else can see the comment because remember when we did our settings, I had it so that they had to be reviewed by somebody that had the availability to moderate comments. Okay? So that is Mary S. She really can't do much of anything. So a subscriber cannot do much of anything. So a contributor is somebody that comes to you and says, hey, I know your subject back and forth, and I can write you some amazing articles. And you don't really know them from anybody. So you're just like, okay, I'm not sure. And then but I'll let you write an article and we'll see. Okay. And then we, as a contributor, and then we write an article. Okay. You have the availability to write a post. So I can come out here and then we can write a post. But as you can see, I can't roll over the other posts except to view only the published ones. And then so I can't even tell which one was scheduled and which one wasn't. And then so I'll put in the, and then we marry the, and then we post. And then so then I come here and I cannot even publish it. It is submitted for review. And then we in images. Let's see, what else can I do? Let's see if I can put in anything. And then we after, let's see what options. Well, it does say images, but the only images I can pull in are from a URL. I cannot upload images to this website or to the database. Images are just, and then and then we can be infected with viruses, and then we Trojans or whatever. So they don't trust me enough to even upload an image. Okay. So when I post it for review, somebody's going to have to review it. So let me go see what I can do to other people's stuff. Can I do anything to anything else? And then we already see it's pending. And then I can see mine. I can do stuff to mine, but I can't do stuff to anybody else's. And then we add any more. I can add more posts, but I can't add images. And then I can't do anything else with the dashboard except maybe change my profile. So if I want to change my profile, I could change my profile. Yep, I could change my profile. I could change my password. Okay, so that's all I can do with Mary C. So then we log out of Mary C. And then we log in with Mary and then we author, so Mary A. And then I really don't think it's spelled password right. And then again. And then what can Mary A do? So Mary A, and then we can, and then we post, and then I'm going to do, and then we publish it. Boom. Can I add an image? I didn't even think about that. Let's go back and see if I can add an image. And then let's go here, add after, and then I can add an image. And then okay, so now I can upload an image. So they trust Mary A to do all of this. They trust Mary A to write content, add images, and then we publish. And then I can actually add an image. And then so let's go look and see what else Mary A can do. And then I look at all of these. Can Mary edit anybody else's? No. I can't edit anybody else's. And then anything with comments. And then we can't do anything with comments. So, and then subscribers, contributors, and authors. And then we are very limited in what they can do, and they have a very limited dashboard. Okay, so they can't do a whole lot on the website. And then we log out. And then we need somebody that can do more. Okay. And then I can do posts, I can do media, I can do pages, where the author wasn't even able to do pages. An editor can create pages. But if you look here, and then we am restricted from the appearance. So all of the layout I cannot do. But with comments as an editor, and then I can come here and approve a comment. Okay. As an editor, I can create a new post, and I can come here and say, okay, Mary C's is good, so I can edit it, make modifications anywhere I think as an editor, and I can publish it. Or I can delete it, anything that I think I need to do based on how I feel. So I can go through any of these posts and make modifications. I can go to any of the pages and make modifications. The one thing that I can do is I can add a page, and then because I am not allowed the structure, and then we not add it to the navigation. I will have to get hold of an administrator and say, hey, I've added this page or I've deleted this page, so you need to update the navigation. And then an editor is limited in what they can do. And then so I'm going to log out real quick. And then we go ahead and log back in as the administrator. And then and then we don't do this to me. I'm going to have to go to Ukia because I do not remember. Okay. So then as the administrator, I have the whole dashboard again. I also have the availability to say, okay, Mary C left. We really don't think that what they were doing was very good. So I am going to get rid of this person and all of the content that they put on the website because I really don't trust them. So I go ahead and delete, and then we up and says, okay, and then when you're deleting this person, there are a couple options. You can delete all the content associated with this person, or you can attribute their content to somebody else. I'm saying, okay, I don't trust this person. I'm not sure if they put any JavaScript or any viruses on this website. I'm just going to get everything off this website and get rid of it completely. And then we went to a website that I built for somebody. I built all the pages. I put all the images up. I created the first 3 posts. And then most of the work on the website. Okay. And I did all the structure, layout and everything about the website. I handed it off to somebody else that was the administrative person that was going to take care of the website. They went through and then we there for like 3 years. And then 3 years later, they were like, oh, why is she still here? And so when they went through, they go, oh, well, we'll just delete everything that she's done. As soon as they did that, and then we maybe 1 page or 2 posts were there and everything was wiped out. Okay. Cause we was associated with all these images, all of this stuff. And it was just gone. I had kept a backup, so I was able to give them the backup. It was very old backup. So anything they'd done in the last 3 years, they had to recreate, and then they were able to get the structure back and most of the website back. But it was pretty interesting that this person that was supposed to have understood what they were doing didn't realize that once they deleted everything that I did, it was deleting everything off the website. And I've had other users do that too. I've had a user that was, and then the admin privileges, somebody quit from their institution. So they deleted that user from having access to the website and deleted all the content that that user had put up. And that had deleted multiple pages and posts that that person had put up. And they were calling me frantically saying, we've got a virus, something's going on. I don't know what's happening. And I looked at the logs to see what was going on with the website, and I noticed that they had been deleting users. And I said, hadn't they built all these pages that are disappearing? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, how'd you delete them? And she goes, I just deleted them and all the content. And I was like, so you deleted everything they did? And once they realized, they were like, oh no. And then we were able to get some of it back, but they had to build a lot of it back because we didn't have the backup on that one. And then we kind of scary when they first told me they had a virus and things were just like disappearing. And I was like, I've never heard that one before. But yeah, there's interesting viruses that kind of come with WordPress, but that was one I hadn't heard of. And then the other thing for you to find pictures, you can go to Unsplash. There's lots of places. You can upload your own images. Unsplash is really nice to find images, but the images that you will find from Unsplash will probably, be pretty large. So if I look for, and look for puppy images, these images will be considered probably my raw images because they will be huge. Okay. They will be probably 5,000 pixels by 4,000 pixels. And then we is a huge image to put up on a website that you will never use that many pixels with. And then to download an image, there is this little download button, and it will download it to your computer. It will give you the option to give this person credit. It's nice if you give them credit. If you just want to say that you got all your images from Unsplash, that's good too. The images that you can't download are the ones that have this plus, because they have this little lock on the download. And then we can actually look at what are called, and then we landscape images, which are really nice to put in as hero images, or portrait images, which are really kind of fun to use around your content. But because they're so big, you probably want to size them with Photoshop, and then we Illustrator or Pixlr. Pixlr is a free, editor, and then we does ask you for your email address, and it only allows you to edit 3 pictures a day. Okay, so you're limited to how many unless you want to buy a premium version. But I think you guys should, as being students, should have access to Photoshop. I don't know. I'm not sure. And then anymore. And then you can download pictures. I recommend you download some pictures because I think next week I go through that in the video that I have. I will not be teaching. And then Tuesday. So the video is up there for you guys to watch, but I will not be teaching on Tuesday next week. I will be gone. Okay. If you have questions though of the video, you can email me. I will have my computer and I will try to answer any emails that you have. And then but I will not be teaching a class, but I will teach the next 2 weeks, the following 2 weeks. Okay. And we are pretty much done. We're done for tonight, unless you guys have questions.